Hey everybody, DIY Dad here, back in the garage again with another small project on the Spyder. I'm not sure how much you can tell from the video here, but I clearly have an issue with this tire where it's going bald in the center. Now it probably makes you think I've got this thing horribly overinflated. That's not the case. This is actually a structural problem with the way these tires are made. It's a pretty common thing you can read about online, but either way, we have to take this tire off so I can get it swapped. So that's what we're going to do today. If we look closer at the tire, you can kind of see how my tire dips in and then goes back out. The manufacturer of this tire doesn't properly reinforce the center. What that means is when you're parked, the tire sits like this, but as soon as you start riding, the tire will deform out and then this part will wear, unlike the rest of the tire, which is actually pretty good. So what we're gonna do is put a car tire on this. There's a bunch of stuff online about whether or not car tires are a good thing for these bikes. Most of the people I know who have Spyders swear by them, so that's what we're going to try. And I'm going to use a method for this that was laid out also by a friend of mine that supposedly requires us, or doesn't require us rather, to mess with things like the belt tensioners or the alignment. So it should be a pretty quick and easy way for us to pull this. Now what we're going to have to do to take this off, so we're going to have to pull the rear axle, which is these nuts down here, and we're gonna have to pull off this rear brake caliper. So we'll start with the brake caliper, kind of pull that and get that set off to the side, and then we'll pop loose the axle nuts while the bike is still here on the ground. Then we're gonna jack the bike up, loosen up the rear shock, and allow the swing arm to come down, which should release the tension from the belt, allow us to just kind of slide the belt off the side, and then pull this whole wheel free. So first we're going to pull the brake caliper. For that you're going to need either a 16mm or a 5/8 inch ratchet. I had to use breaker bar just to get enough torque on it. It's a bolt here, and then the second bolt is right up here. For that one you want to use an extension and kind of come at it from the side. You should be able to go under your exhaust and hit that one. With those two bolts removed, this whole assembly will slide off and just sort of hang free. Keep a close eye on some of the little washers that might fall out. You want to make sure that those get reinstalled when you put it back together. Our next step then is going to be to pry these two covers off of the axle nuts, and then we're going to break the axle free while it's on the ground before we jack it up. The other thing just to note, in case I forget to say it later, since we are disconnecting the drive wheel and the wheel where the emergency brake is, or the parking brake, you want to make sure that you chock the front wheels to stop the bike from rolling once you've got the back up in the air. For the axle, you'll need to pull this pin out. So you're going to straighten this and then pull it straight out. And then it's a 36mm socket on this. And again, you want to get it loose, but not take it all the way out before we lift the bike up. So then with the bike lifted till the rear wheel's about to come off the ground, but hasn't yet, you can remove this bolt with a 15mm socket on either side, and then the bolt will pull straight out on the right hand side of the bike, and that'll free the shock. At that point you can continue to lift the bike and the wheel should swing down and let the belt slacken. So in lifting the bike the last bit, you can see I've gone further than the shock would have allowed, but I stopped before we hit the exhaust, so I'm just above that exhaust hanger. But that gave me the freedom to pull this belt off. Just kind of working it from the bottom and getting this loose so that when I reattach everything, I should be able to put this on and have the same tension and everything without having to mess too much with that. Now the next step is going to be to pull this axle, and then we should be able to kind of lift this piece up and have the whole wheel come out. There is one thing I didn't mention on this side with the brake caliper. You do have to pull out this wheel sensor. It's just a 5mm Allen key to do that. With the axle nut removed from the right-hand side of the bike, the axle can be pulled free from the left-hand side, and kind of work this loose and pull this free. And with the axle out, if everything went to plan, you should be able to just lift this swing arm up and pull the wheel out from underneath, which takes two hands. All right, our tire is free. So the next step is going to be to disassemble the center hub. So we'll take the brake disc off, and then we'll end up taking this center post out as well. With the tire removed, then this sprocket pulls straight off of the outside. There's little kind of rubber bushings that hold it. So you pull that off, and then each of those black bushings needs to be pulled out. That'll give you access to the nylon nuts for the bolts that hold the tower together. The centerpiece is held on with 15mm nuts and bolts. You'll have to have one socket on either side to hold on to the nut when you're loosening the bolts, otherwise they just spin and spin. So once those are out, this whole thing will lift straight off, and then this spacer will just lift straight out. Let's get my wheel back from the tire shop. I'm using a Kumho Ecsta tire for this. I actually like the tread design on it a bit. They are directional tires, so you want to make sure that they get it installed the correct way, and you can see mine is. So now at this point we'll be rebuilding it, just basically the way we took it apart. So that center tower and the little spacer, those will go on the back side. We'll rethread the bolts. The bolts get tightened to 35 pounds of pressure, so we use a torque wrench for that. Make sure we get them nice and snug. You want to Loctite them as well. And then the disc will be put back on, and then the sprocket on the other side. And at that point, we should be able to ease the wheel back in and get everything reconnected. So the initial part of the wheel is reassembled. The way that I did this was just to kind of hold it from this side, and specifically to hold one of the bolts in place so that I could thread the nut from the other side to kind of keep everything aligned, and then just hand threaded the rest of the nuts around the side. I used the axle then positioned across the middle to keep that spacer lined up, because once this is tightened down, the two bearings are going to push against that spacer, and you want to make sure that it's perfectly aligned so the axle can slide through. So if you have the axle in here as you're assembling it, then we know that everything is going to stay lined up and the axle will go back in once it's on the bike. Well, as you can see, the rest of the process went pretty easily. So it was just the reverse of how we disassembled it. I put the brake on, tightened everything down, added the hub on this side, got that all aligned, and then really just kind of moved this back into place, slowly lowered the bike down so that the axle was lined up, got that all reconnected, hooked my brakes back up, and then lowered the bike down slowly again until the shock lined up, connected that, and then really just kind of checked to make sure everything was tight, and that's all she wrote. Reassembly went a whole lot easier than removal. And I learned something about that, and it's my own fault. When I was removing the bike, I didn't lift it high enough. Once the axle is disconnected, you can jack the bike up even higher to make it easier to clear this rear guard without having to take the guard off. It's not as simple as it looks to take this guard off. There's a nut on the back of each one of these, so you have to get a wrench in there in order to remove that. So a lot easier to do without having to take that piece off, but that does mean bringing the bike up higher to give it that clearance. I didn't do that the first time, which made it very hard to get the wheel out. But once I learned that and brought it up higher to put it back in, it just rolled right in, and then life was good. All right, that's gonna wrap us up from the garage. Not an easy project, not impossible though, so it is doable. I mean, you saw me do it, and I'm at best marginally skilled. So you can do it, but I do understand why a dealership charges you $600 to replace the tire on one of these. It does take some time. There's a lot of pieces and a lot of steps to it. This method does work very well based on how easy the reassembly went. I think my advice I had received of this being a shortcut probably bears true. So, I mean, I don't know any other method thus far, but I like doing it this way. I'm gonna take this thing for a test ride, make sure everything's straight, nothing wobbles, everything looks and feels kosher. But before I do that, I owe you a dad joke. And in keeping with the theme of this project, I will ask, what did the aging mechanic do after realizing he had just spent all day putting the wrong set of tires on a customer's car? Well, clearly, he retired. Right, remember, the most important step of any DIY project is just to do it. It doesn't have to be perfect. You guys stay safe. Catch you on the next one.